very interesting montage at last night's RNC that certainly caught my attention.
Mine too.
They brought in a few individuals who call themselves Democratic Socialists, who have been Bernie Sanders supporters to make the case for Trump. Let's take a listen.
Going straight to the source is really how I was able to overcome some of those pitfalls. And so I want people to hear my story and know that you can actually go from being a Democratic Socialist to a Trump supporter, but you have to look deeper.
And she wasn't the only one in that montage. She was like, I supported Bernie and now I'm with Trump. And, you know, in 2016, they tried this as well, and it landed a little bit better because the critique of Hillary was like, she's a warmonger and she's corrupt. It wasn't that she's a socialist, Marxist, etc. So what really undermined it is immediately after this Socialist for Trump montage, they bring in Jeff Van Drew, who used to be a Democrat and then switched to being Republican over impeachment, allegedly. And his whole thing was like, the squad is terrible, and they've taken over the Democratic Party, and the Marxists and the Socialists. So kind of hard to make those two things really work.
There was another part of that montage. It was like a guy who was like, I lived in New York with this woman who had all these kids in prison, and I realized that the Democrats want to force you into the system and put you on a check. And I was like, dude, if you really think that, you were never a socialist in the first place. You know what I mean?
Questioning your cred here.
I'm not a socialist, but I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't think you're a socialist. I think you were just like a confused dude with amorphous politics, like many people.
Sure.
Okay, all good,
fine.
But you know, I was like, I don't think you think that that means what you think it means. Whenever it comes, he's like, I was a strong socialist and really believed. Look, is it actually going to land? I don't think so.
And last time they did have a pitch that at least made some sense, right? You could be like, we're to the left on even healthcare. We're to the left a little bit on, or at least, you know, not wanting to cut entitlements, right? On trade, certainly. That was a very salient issue where you could say, we're actually with Bernie on trade. But this time around, when the consistent case made against Joe Biden is he's a Trojan horse for socialism, that's not going to be a critique that lands with socialists.
Yeah, I completely agree. And look, the data is quite clear on this. Most Bernie people are voting for Biden, just like they voted for Hillary, no matter what the media is going to tell you about that. Just like most Trump voters would have voted for Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio. Most people are overwhelmingly tribal. It's actually much more, or I'm saying most voters are overwhelmingly tribal. It's the non-voters that Trump actually brought into the system that were the new ones that Bernie was also trying to add. Those are the people, along with suburban voters, who actually might change who they vote for. So this ad, it ain't going anywhere. It is kind of hilarious to watch.
Yeah, it was it was entertaining. It was one of the only actually entertaining points of the night, to be honest with you, and an overwhelmingly boring night. All right, more Rising for you after this.